long did it used to take for you to finish a full song from start to finish?
Oof. Full song start to finish, not gonna lie to you, probably about a month, maybe 2 to 3 weeks at the least, and then a month at the most.
And how long does it usually take for you to finish a full song now?
Oh, I finished a song this past weekend in probably 3 hours.
Solid.
Not even, and that was with me like browsing for some vocal I wanted to hear.
So before you joined the Artist Launchpad program, what were the main problems you had with production?
Well, actually, sound design. Sound design was a huge one. Really understanding layering, understanding where things sat in a mix, to help bring out certain elements. I didn't know where to start, kind of with
Hmm.
that. I'd taken so many. I mean, you can take YouTube course after YouTube course, and or whatever, and you can try your best to shoot your shot. But if you have no foundation to build on, then you just wasted hours of work. So that was like my biggest problem. And I also doubted myself being able to like put out, like, even if I wasn't fully happy with it, just put it out there, get some feedback, work on it, move to the, get it, make it better instead of like nitpicking every little part while I'm doing it.
Hmm.
So these weekly sessions helped kind of break me out of that mode a little bit.
And I knew the whole process was going to be very beneficial to you because I could tell what eager you were to learn and level up in the whole process. So like that's part of the thing that really, is the catalyst for somebody to actually like get the most out of these programs is the fact that if they're actually willing to like go ham. And so I could tell
Yeah.
from the start that you really were because you did get a lot out of it in the end. So in terms of besides like the quality side, where were you at with the quantity side? Like how long did it used to take for you to finish a full song from start to finish?
Oof. Full song start to finish, not gonna lie to you, probably about a month, maybe 2 to 3 weeks at the least, and then a month at the most, because I again, starting at like where to start and then where to like truly call myself a stopping point,
Hmm.
and kind of working my way from there. I didn't know what that was. I kind of was just going with my gut, and sometimes my gut would cause me to like second guess and I wouldn't know I mean which piece that I wanted to use, which bass I wanted to use, and that would cut into my time. So yeah.
Yeah, and how long does it usually take for you to finish a full song now?
Oh, I finished a song this past weekend in probably 3 hours.
Solid.
Not even, and that was with me like browsing for some vocal I wanted to hear. Like I
Hmm.
found vocal just like perusing through snips on Splice and on the internet, and that was part of the 3 hours and getting it to a place where I wanted to. That's so much more improvement. I know it can be faster, but
Hmm. Well, I mean,
definitely faster.
a couple of hours is pretty damn solid, man. Like that's ideally what you want when you're going for like a plug and play scenario of like, you have the template, you know exactly where everything needs to go and what you need to put down, and now you no longer have those hindrances you had with like the uncertainty of whether the mix and master is good enough or if you've got the right sound design and if you've got the right melodies down and layering and stuff like that. So, fortunately we resolved all these problems. And the
Yeah.
fact that you can do it now in a couple of days or in a couple of hours compared to taking a couple of weeks, that's like massive improvement. So in terms of the style of learning we did, it's like a style of learning called kinesthetic learning, where you're doing a lot of high volume repetition work, and through that repetition, that's really how I've always learned things. Like I've always been a very
Mhm.
hands-on person. So me watching YouTube videos doesn't do anything for me. Like it goes straight through me, like the information. But when I'm doing hands-on work, like doing the thing over and over again, that's where I usually learn the best. And that's why this program is based on like how I like to learn things,
Yeah.
um, and a little bit more analytical approach. So how did you feel about that style of learning?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very much a kinesthetic learner as well. Like I learn by just repetition, repetition, repetition. Like knowing where to EQ my sub, like the same way each time, knowing how to put my chug bass in place in the right time. Like before, it was me just kind of guessing,
Hmm.
and some of that guesswork wasn't really helping me because I would take an hour of guesswork. Now it takes me like no, I'm just going to commit to it. If it doesn't sound good, I throw it out. And, doing it multiple times has got me into that habit of like, okay, you don't need to take hours of guesswork. You just need to just push and push and push. And eventually something's going to come out.
So now you have
So,
that
I mean, it really helped me.
certainty. Now you have the certainty of like knowing what direction to go in with everything.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, through a mixture of working with you, working with Callum, I mean, it was honestly, I got to see two different perspectives, but both kind of fed into the same notions. Like
Mm,
the more you do it, the easier it will become, and the more you'll hear where you need to make the changes.
mm,
And
absolutely.
the more I started to hear it, I was like, oh, that I definitely could push this a lot harder. And
Mm,
I didn't need to wait till I finished the whole song to do so. I'd get into it like, oh nope, pull this right up. And I'd
absolutely.
save hours of work that way.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so now that we've done the 10 weeks, you still got the 12 months of like daily calls and weekly group calls as well for you to check out. And then that's going to be that extra bunch of accountability. And you can go on your own accord now, knowing that, each week you can bust out a new song very easily, mix and mastered, and even start using that as like a content strategy later on as well, which we can get to later on. Um,
Yeah.
but but in terms of that whole experience, what do you feel like you got the most out of everything?
I get the most. Well, honestly, my sound design is just infinitely better than it was since day one. Midway through this whole thing, I participated in a remix contest, and that was just with half the knowledge. And I looked back on that song that I put out, and I put it for that remix contest, and it is kind of funny because you look back, you're like, oh my god, that's what I used to sound like.
Mm.
And looking where I am now and how I'm able to just put things where I want them in a mix before having to like just kind of blindly shoot for it. Like I said, I think that's so like that value add is I'm not at a loss for words. Like there is no words to describe how it feels right now to be able to see where I started and where I finished
Yeah, the
just from
mixing and
there.
mastering thing is definitely like a tricky one, and I had the same experience when I was getting better at it too, where for a long time you really suck, and then you finally like everything starts to
Yep.
fit together like Lego pieces, and then once you've got it and it's out of the way, you can actually enjoy production a lot more because you can just be creative when you want to be creative and not worry too much about, oh, where's this going to go and where's that going to go and how am I going to fit this in? It's like once you have that like understanding of how it all works, it allows you to be more creative because you're no longer being like tied to those constraints, which is awesome. And I'm really happy that to hear that you can now, moving forward, can just focus on the creative side more than anything. And
Yeah.
one last question as well is if anybody was on the fence that was watching this video and you had anything to say to them about like checking out industry set and based on your experience, what would you say to them?
I would say don't even be on the fence. Make the leap. The biggest hurdle that I had in this program was making the leap. And that's in every aspect of it. Like making the leap to just throwing a song and saying it's done. Making the leap to just joining the program. It was I think that was something that a lot of artists, including myself at the time, we struggle with because there is nobody when you're growing up telling you, oh well, yeah, this is the A to Z method and how to build out your perfect music career. There is no such thing, and sometimes you just need to take a leap and trust yourself, trust the process because it is a process. You're going to start somewhere, and everyone has to start somewhere. And this was honestly the best thing that I could have done in my entire life, honestly. And there's
Damn, hell yeah,
yeah.
hell
And
yeah.
that's saying a lot because we've done a lot of stuff over the
Yeah,
years, but this
absolutely.
is definitely the best. The last thing I would say is just commit, commitment to you commit to yourself, and be confident. I think there's so many times when you go and you want to put out a song on SoundCloud when you want to you find something, you throw it together in Ableton or Logic or whatever you use, FL Studio, who knows these days. So many people, including myself before, was like, oh, I put it all together and I was like, nah, I don't really like it. And then I forget about it.
Hmm.
But if I did that, if I looked at myself now and looked at myself then, now I would be like, oh no, I can still definitely tweak this. I can still be confident that if I like it, someone will like it.
Mm.
So, and this program taught me that.
Hell yeah.